Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the pod. Mike Schreier here with Shreds Takes. I'm here with Duwe Farris and Paxson Wojcik. They are former UNC basketball players and just played this past season, very successful season at UNC. But they also run FW Sports Group, which is helping youth basketball and to be able to grow the game there in America. So, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the pod today.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
Excited to be here.
Absolutely. So before we get into FW, because I definitely want to talk a lot about that, love to just kind of talk a little bit about your guys' experiences with college basketball. Dewey, I know you were at UNC majority of the time. Paxton, I know you came for your last year to UNC from Brown. Paxton, kind of start with you. Can you talk a little bit about what went into that decision? Because obviously at Brown, you were able to find a lot of success, and then you said, hey, like I'm going to go to UNC to do my grad year. What went into that decision for you?
Yeah, I think it was honestly a combination of things for me, really. First, there's the rule in the Ivy League that you're not allowed to be a graduate student athlete. So I knew that if I wanted to keep playing in college, that I would have to be elsewhere. And I decided I wanted to, stay one more year in college, take my COVID year, get another degree, and then I had the opportunity to enter the portal and kind of explore and see what I liked. And when the Carolina opportunity presented itself, really, really hard to pass up. It was a dream come true. But just the combination of the basketball program, the academics, Chapel Hill, just felt like a great place to be for me.
And Dewey, talk about from your standpoint, what went into going to UNC? What made that a good fit for you to be a part of the team there?
Yeah, so I had a little bit of a different path. So I actually came to UNC as a normal student. And I was fortunate enough to play on UNC's JV team for a year. So the JV team is basically just an open tryout. And there's about like 12 to 15 guys that make the squad. And one of the UNC real team assistant coaches it. And then you like play all your games in the Dean Dome. It's just like amazing experience. And then I was fortunate enough my sophomore year, they needed one more guy. And so I got pulled up and walked on my sophomore year and then played for the last 4 years. So yeah.
And then just kind of to wrap up the basketball stuff a little bit, can you guys talk a little bit about what the grind of the ACC is like, especially because the competition is definitely fierce, especially this past year with obviously really good teams in the league. Obviously NC State's crazy run in the ACC tournament, for example, and in the NCAA tournament. Duke, you guys obviously at UNC, right? Like it's a grind, but I'd love to know just from not just from the basketball standpoint of things, but having to balance the academic side of it with a rigorous travel schedule, practice schedule, you name it. Can you guys talk a little bit about like how you guys were able to try and do that and, what that experience was like, trying to be able to figure that out?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. You hear about it all the time when you talk to any student athletes at any level. I mean, I don't care if it's high school or college or whatever. It's definitely a commitment to play a sport at a high level. And I think the one thing that you really get good at is time management and just being able to balance your time. Um, you know, there's stuff that you go through as an athlete, whether it's, long practices, early morning lifts, staying up late to study for a test or something that you just have to get through. So just keeping that mindset to, always be relentless and trying to excel in your sport and like in the classroom, and then also make time for friends and family and whatnot. But you get used to it. It's kind of the lifestyle you live, and you kind of enjoy the grind. And that's what you get used to. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think for me, just like it was big early on to like get a pretty consistent routine. So that, like I pretty much any given day I could expect to be in class from like 8 to about noon, and then would be at the our gym around like 12:30 to 1 for like weights and treatment and eating. And then we practice, and you get out of there around like 7. And so just understanding that like that was a set like most days for me. And then like you have to like cut out a lot of the like sometimes like the social stuff, like you're not able to do that, or I don't know, just some other different things you're involved in, like you kind of have to cut down on just to make the school and the basketball stuff work. and planning ahead with when you got travel and that sort of thing. So more than anything for me, it was just getting a routine um, as far as that goes.
Yeah. And so now I want to kind of shift over to the crux of the conversation, which is FW Sports Group. And obviously I've had some other entrepreneurs on this pod, and it's obviously a big leap you take when you're trying to, start something up and, trying to, make an impact in a sport. Obviously you guys have a basketball background, so it's definitely a passion of yours to, be involved in basketball. But can you talk about like why you guys decided to start this and like what went into it to be able to say, hey, like we really want to help out with youth basketball and help be kind of the catalyst for making it better? What went into that decision, so to speak?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think for us, so one of the cool things about FW Sports Group is I'd say there's like two main components, like one being youth basketball and then the other being kind of like this international network of basketball. So the cool thing about basketball is that even though, you know, we're from America, we've lived in America our whole lives, like we can connect with people all over the world using basketball as like this kind of shared language. And so, we say like with FW Sports Group, it's like uniting cultures through sports. So kind of a key part of it is like training different kids like across the world and like partnering with groups all over the place that can kind of help us do that, and we can work with as far as that goes. So yeah, Paxson, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really kind of the emphasis there is we, saw, Dewey and I both have this love for basketball. And I think we also share a love for, experiencing different cultures and travel as well. And so we kind of thought to ourselves, why not, combine those two things and be able to share our love for the game, while also being able to travel to new places, meet new people, connect people kind of through the love of the game and learning it and sharing it. And so we just saw it as an exciting opportunity. Um, Basketball is already a huge sport globally, but it's continuing to grow. I mean, it's booming in Asia. It's growing in Africa. There's so much interest in it worldwide that we thought, why not explore kind of our options and see where we can, maybe make a difference and help out, while also being able to, continue to share the game and travel too. So it seemed like a great opportunity for us.
And kind of on that note, like one thing we noticed is there's a lot of people like all around the world that are interested in basketball and love like American basketball and the NBA and all that comes with that. But like you don't realize how advanced the United States is as a culture for like youth basketball, like with whether it's like travel teams or like church league teams or indoor gyms or summer camps. Like there's so much like basketball infrastructure in place that I think Americans like can kind of take that for granted. And one thing that Paxton and I realized is like we've got some friends that, are from Asia or from Africa, and there's just not the same opportunities. And so knowing that we both, have all this experience in basketball, like whether it be through playing or through coaching, we figured that was something that we could offer all around the world, which was another like driving force for kind of our decision to start FW Sports Group.
So with that, obviously, you kind of saw the need, obviously, in other cultures to be able to help out from the development standpoint of things, right? What are exactly are like the maybe not just the basketball skills, but you guys also emphasize building better players and people off the court as well as on the court, which I think is incredibly important because not everyone's going to be in the NBA, not everyone's going to be playing professionally. It's how you use whatever the athletic background you have to be able to develop the proper skills. Can you talk about a little bit about just, maybe the on-court skills you guys are trying to develop and also the off-court lessons you have tried to instill based on maybe your experiences that you think you can carry over with this group and this business?
Yeah. I think, on court, we touch on skill work, we touch on fundamentals. We our target range is kind of the younger kids and youth population. So obviously teaching them the right way to play and teaching them how to be a good teammate is stuff that we emphasize, and that is really important to us. Um, and that's all great, but also we just emphasize just the joy of playing, 5-on-5 games, knockout. Uh, I can speak for myself when I was at camp as a little kid, the drill work and the stations were kind of like the most boring parts, and you have the most fun remembering doing like playoffs or playing 5-on-5 or winning the championship or whatnot. So a lot of fun and a lot of games too, but that's kind of what we focus on the court, and then you can touch on off the court a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think a cool thing about basketball and sports in general is that typically like the same things it takes to be successful in like sports, whether it be hard work, teamwork, communication, enthusiasm, like those are the same factors that contribute to like success uh the rest of your life. And so I think kind of as a base, like we start with, it's important to talk to your teammates and communicate and talk loud, and um just those things translate to your life. And you can tell that to the kids while you're coaching them, but I think if you just like make them do it, then they like kind of start doing it and don't even realize what they're doing. Because I know like me and Paxson, and I know I'm sure you're the same way. Like you learn so much playing basketball, like whether it just be on how to like interact with people, and how to compete and how to win. That all those things just like trickle down into the rest of your life. And I think those are very valuable traits, as a basketball player and just as a human. So definitely like we emphasize that a ton.
So my question with that, obviously, it may seem obvious, but why youth basketball, and why do you feel like that was an area you guys could find growth opportunities and be able to make your mark in?
Yeah, I mean, I just think that you're able to kids like minds are so malleable in the sense that you're able to actually make an impact. And if you can, offer this kid, because the reality is the camp's only going to last for, 3 to 5 days. So what you're really looking to do is create a spark, for this kid, show them this love for basketball and like give them some tools that they can use later on. And I just think the impact of that is so profound. I don't know, like if targeting adults who have already kind of established their personalities, like it's a little bit, trickier to change grown men, women, So yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Just to piggyback off that, I think a thing we also talk about pretty often is just how much the game kind of has given us, and remembering being that age and being those young kids, in those camps or in those high school gyms, looking up to the college players or the high school players, and just realizing that's when we fell in love with the game and the excitement and the joy, that it brought to us, and just kind of being on the other side and being able to just pay it forward is something that's really really special.
So obviously something that, and this is obviously important, but there's a lot of individual training that goes on, especially in American basketball, just because the trainers are developing obviously individual skills. A lot of coaches talk about, hey, like individually improve yourself. But it seems like what a big thing that you guys are doing at the camps, obviously, is being able to allow these guys to understand how the 5-on-5 game works, because that's a big thing that, like, at least overseas, they emphasize a lot with the basketball academies and stuff like that. Is that accurate in the sense that you guys are not just working just on the individual skills with the skill training, but also helping out with, okay, here's how you use those skills you develop and put into a 5v5 context where you're going to help the team and yourself succeed? Is that accurate in my assessment?
yeah, like we kind of talk about like everything we do kind of builds on itself. So like we might start with, some skills and drills, whether it be passing, shooting, dribbling, and then we might add, you know, another guy. You're running like a pick and roll, and then you're doing adding another person with three man, like running some actions, and you just kind of like build on it, to hopefully give the players like a greater sense of just the feel for the game. And and it's tough to do for like younger kids and when you only have a couple days. But yeah, even then, just giving them the tools and kind of exposure to some of these ideas, I think like really helps out in the long run.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's what we talk about. And it's also really knowing who you're coaching in your age group. You're not going to go teach the 8-year-olds, motion offense or anything like that. But being able to give them bits and pieces here and there, or show them how to set a ball screen, or how to, you know, come off a down screen, or how to switch on defense, something like that. And then still be able to implement it in a game setting or a 3-on-3 setting. So they're still having fun playing too, is something that really works well.
You guys also emphasize the fact that the game is now obviously very much of spread offense and being able to shoot properly and handle the ball. Like, do you guys emphasize that more than, because when I played, obviously they were like throw it in the post and figure it out. And then obviously that doesn't really work as well anymore as it used to. The game's very much expansive. Like, do you guys, I know these are like 8-year-old kids or 15-year-old kids. So it's going to be different, but I'm saying, like, obviously, is there an emphasis on shooting and dribbling more so than that you guys think about because of just the way that could help them as they grow in the game of basketball?
Yeah. I mean, I would say for sure. I mean, you walk into a gym, you're going to see, kids in Steph Curry jerseys. You're not going to see kids down low working on their Jokic. So basically pass, shoot, dribble, try to do everything, teach them everything, I would say.
Yeah. And I think like we don't necessarily say like you're 2 inches taller, you're going to be the big man, you're going to be the point guard. I think we just train everybody in a similar way. Just work on all facets of their game. So I feel like that's where it's going. And it's tough to like explain that to kids who don't quite understand like the whole grand scheme of things when it comes to playing ball. So I think for us, we just try to develop them and like the most holistic approach we can.
Sure. And then from a business standpoint, right, a big thing that's going to obviously help you guys grow is, things like your marketing strategy, how you promote it on LinkedIn, Instagram, social media, maybe present potential if it gets big, like partners you deal with, right? Like, what is your guys, I guess, strategy around that? Have you guys thought about that? Like how, or even maybe you have already, like the way you're going to market the company, how you're going to, talk to maybe potential, partners to help out with it. And maybe even just like, again, how you make this product not just where it is now, but you grow it to where it becomes, the pinnacle of youth basketball, international success.
Yeah, I mean, I think recognizing that, we want to do our work internationally for the most part, and knowing that we're two American guys that don't have, I guess, as big of a influence or reach out there. Like a big part for us has been working with people abroad that do. So I think it's just a matter of, finding the right partners, whether that be businesses, individuals, or even like governmental organizations. Like there's a huge push right now for like sports development projects and kind of increasing like the influence of sports all over the world. And so I think it's just the key thing for us is, finding the right partners and then promoting ourselves online just to help that whole process.
No doubt. I mean, I agree. That's kind of where we're at. And also it's something that we're doing, right now. FW Sports Group is something that Dewey and I are doing on the side, and because we're passionate about it, we're not super concerned with it growing too quick, because we're obviously doing our own thing currently, and we have plans to kind of focus on it. Especially in the summers, we see some time and availability to do things, but we're just happy to experience it and see how many places we can travel to, and how many camps we can run, and we'll see where it takes us.
Mm-hmm. So kind of to cap it off, I guess, for people who are looking to start their own thing, right? Like that's a huge thing in sports. People are like, all right, I want to go, be an entrepreneur, go do this side project, but there's not always a direction on how to do it. And a lot of times it can flame out very quickly. What would be your guys' advice? I mean, I know it's kind of been, obviously you guys have done this just for like a short period of time, but you guys have obviously have a passion for doing on the side and have an idea of how to, grow it and feel like it can work. But what would be your advice to someone who's like maybe trying to look in the basketball space or sports or just trying to create their own thing? And, what would be your guys like kind of tips and advice for that?
Yeah. I mean, I think by no means are we like experts in this space. I think one thing that has been really beneficial for Paxson and I is one, like trying to just meet as many people as we can and being, nice and being ourselves to anybody. And like, 'cause you never know like how those connections could help you down the road. And I think the other thing is just like taking like small incremental steps. Like, not shooting for necessarily like the moon right off the bat. Like, maybe start like right. I mean, we do basketball camps. And so we started, with one camp. Like we weren't like, we're gonna do 10 camps in 10 city, you know what I mean? So it's just I think small steps. And doing, all that you can that's in your power. Because there's some things that aren't like you don't like it's, if you don't have the funding for something or there's some things that are tough to like navigate. And so I just think just controlling what you can and yeah, just working in the right direction, even if it's a, small step.
For sure. I mean, I would just say slow motion is better than no motion. Create that business email or start up the Instagram page or whatever you're passionate about or you've been thinking about. Make that jump. And you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn along the way. It's obviously no one starts something and it just goes perfectly from the beginning. So I would just say for those that are out there looking to start something or get into anything, just go for it and you'll learn from it and you'll improve and it'll take you so many different directions, but you got to be willing to make that jump.
Absolutely. Well, fellas, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the pod. It was great discussing this. Obviously, best of luck, not just with this, but the other endeavors you guys are into and looking to, make your mark on. And, it's great that you guys are, giving back, not just to American basketball, but international basketball and obviously keeping that passion for basketball alive because definitely people lose it a little bit sometimes when they leave the collegiate realms. It's great that you guys are continuing it. So thank you guys again for coming on the pod.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate it,
Absolutely.
Mike.
Yep.